Commence primary ignition.
Hello there. Well, hello there indeed, and what is up, all of you Ugnots and Jawas? Welcome back to yet again another episode of Mando Talk. I'm your host, as always, Caleb Keller, and we are back live in the saddle in the Razor Crest Millennium Falcon. We need to come up with a ship name for our podcast, whatever, but DJ's back in the co-pilot, what am I saying? Co-pilot seat. DJ's there. What's up, man?
I am in the pilot seat. Yeah. No, I'm joined with some new decoration tonight. I have General Grievous himself behind me.
Nice.
It is the only official Pix photo I have that could not leave its frame and into a binder. It's massive. It's huge. It's math. I mean, it's just huge. So
nice.
But it's fun. It hangs up in the laundry room at home. So every time I come out of the laundry room, I say, hello, General, and then move on, you know?
Man, what an interesting place to have Star Wars hanging, man.
It's really not that weird when you figure out, oh, my wife doesn't do Star Wars as big as I do. So you're kind of like, she's like, you can hang it up. Actually, I hung it up in there because it needed to go somewhere. And
sure.
I knew it wasn't going to hang in like the kitchen. So I was like, well, or by my bedside.
No.
I'm like, I'm not going to put it by the bed. You know, it's just weird.
I mean, hey, Grievous could protect you in your sleep.
That's true. But a burglar could come into my home and be like, what does this guy have? General Grievous? That's it. That's all I need. And then they would just leave. It honestly would be a good burglar deterrent.
Sure. Yeah.
Because they just take that. I'd be okay if they took it and left. I mean, it'd be okay. So
I mean, there could be worse options for sure.
That is very true.
For sure. What's up, John Hare in the chat?
Hey, John.
Glad that you could make it. And hello to everybody watching with us live, watching on the playback, listening on podcast platforms. We appreciate you checking us out in some form, no matter what. Subscribe wherever you're at. It does not matter. Anything helps, and we greatly appreciate it. Now, we last week I made some pretty big announcements, and honestly, I don't know all of these dates off the top of my head, but just know that we got heavy stuff coming as far as Obi-Wan Kenobi coverage, Star Wars Celebration coverage. So this coming Tuesday, we are actually back with pre-episode predictions. We're doing our Obi-Wan Kenobi pre-release predictions this coming Tuesday live at 6 p.m. Central on YouTube. So make sure you are subscribed to that YouTube channel to make sure that you can come and have some fun with us. We're going to get so many things wrong. Of course.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's our job. Our job is to get things wrong and then be pleasantly surprised when they deliver what we actually needed. So that's what we're here for. Can't wait to do it. But I mean, we've got a fun show tonight. This was an idea that we kind of discussed amongst ourselves. Like, we did a Boba festivities. We did this little series where we got ourselves and our audience ready for the Book of Boba Fett. Well, time just kind of ran out. All of a sudden, Obi-Wan Kenobi is here, so we got to fit a Kenobi festivities. I don't know what we want to call it. Essentially, there's a key word that's in the title. We're going to look at the essential canon for Obi-Wan Kenobi prior to this series releases. So we're going to get to that discussion, but man, did we have some heavy news pieces that came this week. So of course, we got to hit that first. Now, admittedly, we probably could spend a ton of time on these news pieces. That could be our entire episode, but we got to make sure that we are mentally prepared for next week's Kenobi premiere. So we did for sure want to make sure that we got that discussion in. So maybe not as much time on these news pieces as we would typically or as we would like to, but we're still going to share our opinions. You know that. So DJ, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, let's get into it, man. Our first a thing that we actually need to discuss isn't really even a news piece other than happy 23rd and 17th anniversaries to both The Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith. Obviously, for me, the two films that I thoroughly enjoy the most out of the prequels. And I'll also have to say this, just because it's been weighing on my heart like crazy lately. Every single time I watch Revenge of the Sith another time, like every time I add to that list, the more and more I'm like, this is my favorite Star Wars movie. Even though I've always said Empire Strikes Back is my number one, every time I watch Revenge of the Sith, I am blown away. It's a great movie, but both of them are great movies. What do you think of these anniversaries, DJ? Exciting times.
I put something on my personal Facebook page today about it, and it mainly is because the people I want to see this, and I think I may have tweeted about it too, but Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith premieres hold a very special place in my heart.
Yeah.
It's very possible that Phantom Menace was my first movie theater experience. I'm not 100% sure on that. But my dad took me to a midnight premiere. I was 4 years old. So how I stayed up till midnight and then to watch a movie, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But, my grandpa was there for that one too. So that was really cool to experience that with both my dad and my grandfather. And then, fast forward to, now I can't talk. Revenge of the Sith, 2005, I'm 10 years old, a very formidable time in my life. And, Phantom Menace, holds a special place because I got to see it with my dad and my grandpa.
Yeah.
But Revenge of the Sith holds a very special place in my heart because I feel like it taught me a very important lesson. That's to, I guess just don't fall into temptation, I guess is a good way to look at it. Be careful about who you surround yourself with, life lessons. That's what Star Wars is kind of about, according to, George Lucas, Dave Filoni, and then, Phantom Menace taught me to dream and to just have an imagination. It really broadened my imagination. So for me, those two mean a lot to me,
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
I love these movies so much. So the fact that it's the anniversary, it's like great. And side note, I still have my episode 3 ticket stub.
Oh, nice. That's really cool.
I was going to fish it out and bring it, to show tonight, but I just kind of forgot and time got away from me. But Caleb, what about you? I know you said some stuff about Revenge of the Sith, but I don't know if you want to add anything else to that.
Yeah. I mean, let's just go ahead. Let's just celebrate these a little bit more. I mean, let's discuss real quick favorite moment from each film. I know for me, Phantom Menace, as far as as a child, it was by far the pod racing, 1000%. I was mind blown when I saw that. And then for Revenge of the Sith, it's gotta be Kenobi verse Anakin. Come on. That's the battle that me and my brother Jacob would reenact each and every single day with our toy lightsabers that somehow didn't break our fingers. But anyway, those are my favorite two moments from each film. What about you?
My favorite from Phantom Menace is just all of Darth Maul.
Yeah, sure.
Because when I was a kid, I was like, you have no fear when you're little, and you think you can jump 20 feet in the air and do flips, and you kind of look stupid, because you're just flailing about because you have no skill. But I just wanted to be Darth Maul when I was little, not the evil side, just the acrobatic side. I just thought that was awesome. Of course, then there's Ewan, doing his Obi-Wan thing too. So that's for Phantom Menace. Revenge of the Sith's kind of hard to choose. My favorite part changes every time I watch that movie, I feel like. It's hard not to say the Annie-Obi duel.
Yes.
But I think now, gosh, man, I should have thought more about this because I wrote this out in the notes. But I did get down, I've watched it obviously in preparation. So some of my favorite stuff in the movie, just because I can't think of one thing right now, is R2-D2 while they're rescuing the Chancellor. He's just funny. All of those good comedic bits are there, and it kind of. Yes, it is. It is good soup. So it lightens the tension of Revenge of the Sith quite a bit. Yeah. Of course, by the time R2-D2 is kind of done goofing around, you get to actually that's not true. I was thinking that Dooku dies after R2's goofed around, but no, R2-D2 goofs around even after Dooku's died. So there's just a lot of good lightheartedness there in those things. So I think that's why that's my favorite one there. From Revenge of the Sith and also Phantom Menace, like we said. So yeah,
can't blame you on that one. Okay, favorite memory involving either film. For me, it's more so like an ongoing memory. me and my brother Jacob, every time we're around each other, we're quoting Revenge of the Sith nonstop.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith is by far the most quotable Star Wars project out there, at least in our family, because like I said, we're quoting it left and right. Somehow we get quotes from that film in any kind of conversation. I love it. I love hanging out with Jacob talking about Revenge of the Sith, because it probably was, I mean, yeah, Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace came out when we were kids, but Revenge of the Sith is the film that we the first Star Wars that we fully remembered and understood what we were watching.
Yes.
So I would say it's an ongoing memory, just us sharing our love for that movie.
Yeah, I'm responding to Rural Farm Boy down in the chat. So hello to you, first of all, sir. But he is reminding me that Revenge of the Sith Star Wars celebration in 3 years for the 20th. So yes, I do plan on being there for that one. But for me, I think a favorite memory involving Revenge of the Sith specifically is it became a bit of a tradition for me personally. And this is actually has nothing really to do with the movie, but we stopped at Taco Bell before we went to see Revenge of the Sith, and we ate tacos while waiting to get into the movie in the line.
Naturally.
So when Force Awakens came out, I had Taco Bell before I went to see the movie.
Nice.
And so I've tried to keep my pre-Star Wars viewing for the first time, you know, at least in a cinema, you know. I've always tried to go to Taco Bell before, just to kind of keep the tradition going. There's something fun to me about that. And you know, about halfway through the movie, you're kind of like, why did I go to Taco Bell?
I mean, you feel that way anytime you go to Taco Bell.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But,
I mean,
you know,
I'm fully prepared to end this stream and go to Taco Bell right now, if I'm being quite honest.
What's wrong with you?
I'm just playing. Just playing. We got to talk Star Wars, man.
Yeah.
It's
well, yeah, we have to talk Star Wars, of course, you know, but
there's too much going on. There's too much going
on, and it's too much to leave to go get Taco Bell. But there you go. That's a very odd, but one of my favorite memories about Revenge of the Sith is getting Taco Bell.
There you go. Can't blame you. Well, listen, 2 incredible films that mean a lot to us, and I'm sure, again, if you're listening to us, they probably mean a lot to you. So tell you what, drop your favorite Phantom Menace, Revenge of the Sith memories, scenes, anything about those films. Let us know in the live chat, in the comments, Discord. Check out Discord. Link is in the description. All right. Let's get into...
We've got one, though, already.
Oh, we do. Okay, what do we got, DJ?
John Hare says about Revenge of the Sith, he loves the tension and emotion of the scene where Anakin is in the council room about to turn to the dark side.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
So there's nothing... One. There's a great scene because it shows the weight, you know, that Anakin he's trying to balance things out here, quite figuratively and literally.
Yeah.
Clone Wars I feel like Clone Wars season 7 adds a lot, and season 5, I guess, when Ahsoka leaves.
For sure.
I feel like that adds a lot to that moment.
It does. It does.
But I never liked the lady singing in that scene, the background vocalist that John Williams has in there. It's that real high pitch. And when I would play like Star Wars Battlefront 2 back in the day, like the original one, that song would just randomly play. And you're like, I'm trying to shoot clones. Why is this horrible song playing? One's opinion, but you know, that's John Hare's favorite memory. Nothing wrong with it at all, except in my opinion, the lady singing.
Fair enough. All right. Keep those coming though. I would love to read those and we'll say them on the show. All right. News. Let's get into it. This Vanity Fair article that completely and entirely and rightfully so broke the internet was phenomenal. So I'm just going to run through a few things to note. Number 1, Ahsoka is announced to be releasing in 2023. Number 2, Andor is set to premiere in late summer of 2022. So I'm assuming that's coming pretty soon. And then The Mandalorian returns in they couldn't really commit, in either late 2022 or early 2023. So we'll stop there. Those are the 3 that we know for sure. I'm assuming they've got a release date on target behind the scenes. Maybe they're just waiting until next week at Celebration to announce those release dates. But nothing really shocking here other than them using the phrase late summer of 2022 for Andor. That would make sense because that definitely would wrap that show up prior to The Mandalorian Season 3. But DJ, what do you think of just this 3-piece announcement there.
That right there is just, it's like a 3-piece suit. It's fancy. It looks good. It's exciting. That's what a 3-piece suit's supposed to do. And that's how this looks like to me. Ahsoka coming next year. They didn't say what time of year, but we know it's coming. So it's like, hey, if it drops New Year's Day, cool. It won't, but if it does, cool. The thing I think about Andor, they didn't really give a solid date on it.
Yeah.
Part of me wants to think that it may have something in Kenobi could potentially connect to Andor in a way, but that's a big gap. That's about from where Andor's supposed to take place. I think they've committed to 4 seasons is what they've said. So that means that Luke and Leia have to be about 15 years old whenever Andor begins. So you just do some quick math and you're like, okay, well, we've got to jump at least 5 years into the future if something at the end of Kenobi stretches into Andor. So we've got to have a time jump. I doubt that they'll do that. I could see them maybe trying to figure a way to do that. But at this point, I just, that's probably too much work there. But anyway, I think that that's all great. Of course, hello, we're Mando Talk.
Let's get it.
Mandalorian's coming this year or sometime early next year. And I like that there's no commitment there. It gives me something to look forward to.
Yeah.
No
doubt.
I really love that. So that's kind of my overall thoughts on those 3.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll keep moving on here, but I also feel like we need to do this. Let's pause for a second because I just realized, up on YouTube, we got this image. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would see these 4 characters side by side. And also another thing, Pedro, keep the mustache for Din Djarin. I know you got that going on for whatever his name is for The Last of Us. They probably called you in when you were busy portraying that character. But keep that stash, man. You rocking it. Keep bringing it.
I do like the Din Djarin stash.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see a bunch of cosplayers go helmetless with the Din Djarin stash. That'd be kind of neat.
It'd be great.
I really like it, but I can't really get over seeing. Oh, absolutely. Of course you are. I can't really get over seeing live action Kenobi next to live action Ahsoka though. Like,
yes, you're correct.
Hayden isn't in this picture, and I think they may have done that on purpose.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
It's really still neat
because he still talked to them. He was still in the article.
Exactly, and he's in these pictures, that they released. So it's not like he wasn't there. Vader was there, and they may have had him in the Vader costume. I don't know if it's him in that costume. I can only imagine it is. Yeah. But to think of Kenobi and Ahsoka and Anakin all being next to each other, that would have been, the Clone Wars fans would have gone nuts for that 3-piece image. That's a 3-piece suit right there.
I mean, me just coming off of this Kenobi rewatch, which again we're gonna get to. We're gonna get to that discussion. Rosario Dawson is there on set on the same day. I mean, why not go ahead and shoot a flashback scene with Hayden and Ewan and Rosario as those 3? Like, they're all there. It's hard to get that talent all together at one time. Just go ahead and make it happen. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. If they got it done in some form, and they just need to decide if it goes for the Ahsoka series or something else. I don't know.
To me, it works on 2 levels. You could do a couple scenes for Ahsoka. You could do a couple scenes for Kenobi.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, Ahsoka is to a certain degree involved in the rebellion at the time of Andor. So oh my gosh, she could connect to all 3 of these shows. When
100%.
think of it, I hadn't even considered that until now. So that would be exciting if they did that. To say the least.
We shall see. We shall see. The only thing that makes me think maybe not is because Ewan had his haircut like after Kenobi had already been shooting. Like, he no longer had the Kenobi hair during this little photo shoot, but he could have easily kept the hood on. But anyway, we had to pause and acknowledge just the presence of those 4 being together, plus Hayden.
Well, you know that Ewan wore a wig on Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, right?
I didn't know he did for Phantom Menace.
You can tell in some scenes where it's like his hair doesn't look the same, like from one shot to the next.
Yeah.
Also, you can tell the same thing with Finn in Force Awakens, but that's neither here nor there. I'm just pointing that out, that you could put a wig on the guy and call it a day.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
You could. All right, let's keep going with the reveals inside this Vanity Fair article. The next one, we've got The Acolyte. The Acolyte is fully written and is in casting phase. Leslie Headland confirmed the series takes place roughly around 100 years before The Phantom Menace, so we could easily see direct connections from this series to the Skywalker saga. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get those kind of connections, because I know Leslie in the past has continually asked her questions that inspired this show was, well, how did the Jedi get this way? How does the council set up this way? What's the political landscape to where it got to this point? So that's obviously going to directly tie into Phantom Menace, prequels, Skywalker saga. So what do you think of just this information regarding the Acolyte?
I mean, it's nice information. This is one of those projects that, it's kind of weird to say this, it's something I don't really care about right now.
Okay. Just because we got so many other things to focus on, or just because it's not piquing your interest?
I don't know if it's piquing my interest the way it's supposed to. Like, for instance, this is in the High Republic era. I've read a book and a half of the High Republic, and it's good storytelling. It's just, I don't know if I'm gravitating towards it like other fans might.
Sure.
And now when it comes out, I'll be like, oh my gosh, it's the Acolyte. I gotta get up early and watch it. I'm gonna get up and hopefully I'm gonna enjoy it. But as of right now, it's just nice knowing, okay, it's done ish, and we've got a timeline. I already knew the timeline, so this is not new information to me. But it was nice to know, like, okay, it's written, now just go.
Yeah.
It's kind of, for me, it's just like, just get in the car and go. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I think that's a good place to be in. All right. This next one, I got to admit, I'm pretty excited for this. A series codenamed Grammar Rodeo is being produced and directed by John Watts, which, of course, John Watts is best known for his directing in the Spider-Man Homecoming trilogy. He did Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home. But also Christopher Ford will also be a producer, which I believe I read that Christopher Ford was a producer for Homecoming, but not the other Spider-Man film. So they've worked together. So here's the information we know regarding this series. It's set after Return of the Jedi, which for me makes me believe it could naturally connect to this little Mandoverse idea that they've got going on. They are looking to cast children in the ages of 11 to 12 years old, and it's described as a galactic version of classic Amblin coming-of-age adventure. Those last two things, stoked. That's what has me more excited than seeing that John Watts is directing it or producing it. It's more so just this idea of a story that is completely different than anything we've seen before, with them focusing in on this age frame, 11, 12, 13, somewhere in there, and it's going to be coming of age. That's extremely exciting. It's going to be, I think, something that connects to people that makes them more Star Wars fans, which is at the end of the day something that we've always said is something that this franchise needs. So I could talk about this all night long. Clearly I'm rambling, but I love this little information. What do you think of this codename Grammar Rodeo series?
I mean, I was enjoying listening to your rambling, honestly. Personally, I think, I could listen to that for a while, but no, I'm going to be honest with you. I had to kind of think about this because part of me is like, I think I'm a little bit like Acolyte, where I'm like, I just don't know if I can be excited for it yet.
Yeah.
And that, I think it's a little bit to do with the fact that it's new territory, and maybe that just scares me because, not everybody likes change. But you're right. I think it will connect to the Mandoverse in a form or another. Mm-hmm. My hope is, I read this and I think it's going to be like a Jedi thing, but there's no evidence that says it's a Jedi thing. It could very much be a bunch of Ezra Bridgers doing Ezra Bridger stuff before he becomes a Jedi. It could be something like that. But when I hear coming of age adventure via like the Amblin, and for those who may not know, Amblin Entertainment, that's Steven Spielberg's, production company. Now, they're not producing this. They're just in the vein of certain shows like, not shows, but movies like Goonies. I would even throw Hook in there. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's like, if you're going to tell me a story that's like Hook, I'm in.
Yeah.
But I need to see something. I need a little image or a tease or even a little bit of a leak
Yeah.
And if I get a small little, like, this is what they're doing, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. I'll know whether or not I'm in or not. Mm-hmm. But as of right now, if this description's great, I'd like a name, and then I'd also like more information.
Sure.
I guess is where I'm at.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, of course, there's Celebration next week. I don't expect more information regarding
I keep
this
forgetting
one.
About that.
I know, man. There's so much going on. I don't expect more information on this one, to be honest. But I mean, they could maybe give an official title at least. But
I would hope so.
But we'll see. It is, side note here, Geekverse Reactions kind of thought here for a second. I love the fact that because recently John Watts, it was announced that he needed a break and he was no longer directing Fantastic Four, the MCU's version of Fantastic Four.
Yeah, okay.
No, he's putting all of his attention and focus on this series, which gets me stoked and pumped.
Take that to the bank.
That means he cares a lot about the product that he's delivering here. He's given up a lot of money, I'm assuming, by not directing that Fantastic Four.
It's Star Wars, man.
That's how important Star Wars is. Absolutely.
I agree. I would give up a big chunk of change for Star Wars. And I have plenty of times.
Yeah, no, I mean, they could pay me $100 and I would do
absolutely.
something.
Well, before we move forward, let's revisit the chat real quick. John Hare comes back at me with the lady singing. He says, that makes the scene for me. Hey, you know what? You've made our music here. You're a musician at heart. I can understand why it makes the scene for you.
And for that reason, I'm going to lean toward John Hare's point of view.
You probably should, honestly. He has a very good POV. And then Rural Farm Boy says, feels to me, in my opinion, Mando Season 3 maybe February of 2023, as they started post-production a month and a half ago. And he's not wrong about that. So, yeah, it could be a January, February release. I would hope early January, or maybe like a Valentine's Day thing. That could be a fun promotional thing. Return to the love, something like that. I don't know.
That would be great.
John Harris says, reading Plagueis has definitely got me interested in Acolyte. I had to put Plagueis down a while back, and I never picked it back up.
Yeah.
So I was in the same line of thinking as him. Whenever I was reading Plagueis, I was like, this is getting me pumped for Acolyte, and I need to go back and restart Plagueis to kind of kickstart my heart, if you will, back into getting ready for Acolyte. So there you go. Let me see what else we got here. We just got some good discussion going on in the chat. So if you're watching the playback, I would just suggest y'all go in here and check this out. Oh, here's Blue Harvest Bricks. He says,
"What
I'm
up?
Excited. Good to see you, brother." He says, I'm excited by all Star Wars projects, but like DJ says, until we know more, it's hard to get overexcited.
Well, there you go.
That's where I'm at. But the only project to date that I've been genuinely overexcited for the whole way through, from announcement to birth, has been Kenobi.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and to segue back into the rest of our news, I'm going to hand it back over to Caleb so we can get to Kenobi, because we've got to get to this stuff.
Absolutely. All right. Well, the next thing in Vanity Fair, Kathleen Kennedy is under the belief that recasting younger actors to play legacy characters is something, quote unquote, abundantly clear can't be done. Now, this was in response, I guess they were discussing Solo and Alden's portrayal and things like that. Now, of course, this led to some debate online. Shocker. Can't believe it.
Still being debated.
I'm saying that sarcastically for sure. It's definitely going on still. DJ, is there anything you want to add to that? Because I know that you're big time in, like, give us Solo 2. For me, I understand. I really highly doubt. Actually, I'm gonna say I know for a fact, probably, if I had to guess, we're not getting it. So I'm not surprised by this at all, her saying it. But what were your thoughts when you read this quote?
I think that she's right in the sense of business. Like, I understand why she wouldn't want to recast going further. But the good thing is that you have an option with Alden.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because he's there, he at one point was signed for 3 films. Which is kind of just a contractual thing, and you can pay those out or opt out of them later. It's not a big deal. Those things are negotiable. But I think on the other hand of things, though, she could be wrong. There are certain characters you can recast at a certain age.
Correct. Yeah.
Luke Skywalker and Kenobi. There's one thing there, and maybe even Leia, if those rumors are true. So there's options in this. But at the same time, it's kind of like 50-50 for me. Yes, you're right in one sense, and you're wrong in another sense, I think. But I'm holding on to this hope with Alden specifically because Kenobi takes place 10 years after A New Hope, and Solo takes place Revenge of the Sith, and Solo takes place 9 years after Revenge of the Sith. So we've only got a year's difference here in time. So you could in my head, it's like, just put Alden in the background. Ewan McGregor's not Alec Guinness. You don't really see anybody making that, distinction a whole lot. So for me, it's like, you know what? Ewan is Obi-Wan. Alden is also Han Solo. Put them in the same project would be really cool. So I'm holding out the hope for that. Now, if it doesn't happen, I won't be upset. I would just think it'd be a neat little, hey, let's throw Alden a bone and see what happens.
Yeah. No, I definitely still would say it's over 50% that Alden's coming back as Han in some form.
Yeah.
I just would expect it to just be like a one episode kind of thing in a series, or just a couple of scenes in a film. Nothing that he's the lead, though. And I think maybe that's more so what Kathleen Kennedy meant, as in they're not going to focus projects on not, when I say Solo, I don't mean the character of Solo, but they're not going to focus projects on a Solo individual character.
Sure.
On a complete recast of an original trilogy character. Yes. If I just made any sense just then.
No, yeah, I think you do make perfect sense. To further your point, though, with that, Blue Harvest Bricks is over here, and he says, I think it's a problem that Lucasfilm thinks Solo was a bad film just because it didn't do well at the box office. By the way, that's even a weird phrase in and of itself. I'm not harping on Blue Harvest Bricks here. I'm just saying It did do well. It made more money than your average, summer hit, 325 million. I mean, that's a lot of money. It's not Force Awakens money.
It's not Star Wars money, and they lost money with the film, so that's why. But it wasn't a success.
I still place blame on the production side of things.
Oh,
with that.
For sure, 100%.
And they rushed it. I'm sorry, they rushed it. It didn't release at Christmas time when it should have. Give those folks an extra 6 months. You got a banger.
Probably.
I'm just being honest. I could talk about that for a while. Well, I don't want to.
We could have that discussion for a minute for sure. RFB just in the chat said, "Hold up, what Leia rumors?" I think we're talking about Leia as a younger
in Kenobi.
Kenobi, those rumors of that younger character being recast.
Sorry about that. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. Okay, yeah, we could definitely talk about that for a hot minute. But overall, us here, we would love to see a Solo 2. Don't think we're ever going to. We also, I think more so, just want to see Alden come back as Han Solo.
Yes.
And I still think that chance is there. I really do. We'll just have, I think, patience, and it might happen. We'll see. Especially after this. Especially after all of this. Okay, next up from the Vanity Fair article. We're still on that thing. Rian Johnson's trilogy is remaining on the back burner. Can't say I'm surprised by that at all. Rogue Squadron is also on the back burner, and Taika's movie is expected to be the next Star Wars film. There all seem to be the biggest things coming out as far as the films go. Those three things. Rian Johnson's trilogy on the back burner, Rogue Squadron on the back burner. Taika's movie is expected to be the next film. I don't really have anything to add to those three things other than I'm not really surprised that Taika's movie is the next one based off of these behind-the-scene rumors, issues that we've heard about Rogue Squadron.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Rogue Squadron did me dirty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like they hyped it up with Patty Jenkins as, talking about her dad being a fighter pilot and her walking out to the X-Wing. And that got me so hyped.
It did, yeah.
And I just, now they're like, and by the way, we're kind of not worrying about it. I'm like, thanks a lot, guys. I feel like I was really excited. Like, you know how like when I'm going to be kind of childish here real quick. You get a new girlfriend when like you're in middle school. And then like 3 days go by and she's like, nah, we're breaking up. What the heck? What was all this about? I kind of feel like that, in a kind of a weird way. I don't really care about Rian Johnson's trilogy, not because I dislike him as a director or because I dislike The Last Jedi. I just don't care.
I could talk about that for a hot minute.
I bet we could. I mean,
Goodness.
We could, honestly, when we get into like an off season, we should maybe
revisit this
and then like really knock them all out in their own episodes. But
yeah.
Now, Taika being the next one, great. I want to see more Taika. And if he's not doing Mando, then put him on, a big film. And I think that'll go over really well. I hope that that's the case. And if Kathleen Kennedy's saying it, okay, cool. I'm good with it. And I back that up all day. I think that's great stuff there for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that wraps up the Vanity Fair article, man. A ton of heavy hitters, and if that's just a tease of what Celebration's gonna be like next weekend, watch out, because my mind is gonna be blown for sure.
I've already forgotten multiple times that Star Wars Celebration is next week.
I know, man. Kenobi is essentially a week away. Like, if you want to stay up super late, it's we're here. We're here.
I feel like if I start doing what my mind wants me to do when we talk about Kenobi being a week away, it's going to be like a call. Someone's going to call the cops and think someone's been murdered because I'm going to be screaming so much.
Sure.
Because I just want to hoop and holler so much. Yeah. By the way, for those of you who aren't from Texas, hoop and holler means when you go, woo! That's hooping and hollering. Okay. And then you may or may not add in a yee or a yee-haw in there somewhere. Okay. That's hooping and hollering. So
I got you, man.
I know you do. I know you do. I'm talking to everybody else.
All right. Oh, man. Well, listen, let's get into, we were talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi. We got an Obi-Wan Kenobi exclusive behind the scenes sizzle reel from IGN. Now, I think they've also put this on Star Wars, their YouTube channel now. I think IGN just maybe had like the first 24 hours as far as exclusivity. I can't talk tonight. I can't talk.
Yeah.
IGN got it exclusively first, but now I think it's everywhere. But anyway, I haven't watched this, so of course.
Oh, I forgot you hadn't watched it.
How we do it here at Mando Talk, we watch the thing with you. So I've got this video pulled up. It's 1 minute and 37 seconds long. DJ knows what's in it. I have no clue. I hope I'm pleasantly surprised, but we're going to watch it all together. DJ, are you ready to hit play?
Yes, it's very much heavy on the nostalgia. Okay, so
okay, I'm ready. All right, we're gonna punch it in. Well, hold on. When I say punch it, that's when we click play, correct?
Yes,
okay.
On it.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Punch it. There's that.
The first time I got to watch Star Wars, I was pretty blown away.
Me too.
Alec Guinness, as Obi-Wan Kenobi, did some of the most amazing work. To play him as a younger man, I was really excited about it. The first big experience for me was going to the studio where we shot episode 1. The props master brought up a big chest, and he looked me in the eye and he opened it up. And I got to choose Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber.
This is my favorite one.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So that was a moment I'll never forget. The first lightsaber work we did was when we fight Darth Maul. That was an amazing thing to be part of. It was incredibly intricate. We were just going so fast. Action! It was quite unlike any other filmmaking I've done. The first time I got dressed up as Obi-Wan again, it was a special moment.
About to cry.
The wonder of Star Wars and the excitement of playing Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's really quite something.
That was good soup, ladies and gentlemen.
Indeed.
Wow. Wow. I mean, the little musical cues too that they had in there, man. You were right. Heavy nostalgia.
John Hare's Jedi Council lady showed back up.
Yeah, absolutely. No, she's back.
Oh,
she's back. No, that was great. Now, you were the one that prepped these notes, so why don't you go ahead and ask kind of the questions that you thought of while you saw this sizzle reel.
Sure,
because again, this is the first time I saw it. First of all, initial reaction,
okay.
Fantastic, super cool, got me in the feels, got me even more so excited about Kenobi. If I wasn't on camera, probably would have shed maybe a tear or two, and also probably would have hooped and hollered.
Absolutely. There's a lot of hooping and hollering going on in my heart always for specifically Phantom Menace, but this right here was just like, God thank you so much, Star Wars. Like, what's great about Kenobi is that they're really pulling on the nostalgia strings, and I love that.
Yeah, they are.
So my first thing, I watched it a couple times the other day. I think today was like my second or third time watching. I'll go ahead and say third time just now. But the first thing I noticed were the musical themes in it, like you mentioned. I think that there's hints of the new Obi-Wan Kenobi theme.
Goodness, I hope.
In there.
I really hope, because that sounded great.
Well, when I think about the ending of this video, it has that harp string, flutter, I'll call it, because I don't know the musical term. That's the same little harp string flutter that we hear the first time Obi-Wan takes his hood off in A New Hope. So it's, to me, I was thinking, okay, well, maybe that's the note. So come back here if, when we're done, and you can be like, oh, yep, Mando Talk had it first, if that ends up being the case. But I keep waiting and hoping that they release that theme a little early ahead of the show, but it probably won't. But anyway, what do you think that there were hints there in the trailer of maybe a potential Obi-Wan theme?
I would certainly like to believe so.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if so, that's a very emotional kind of theme that you could definitely see kind of being like the portrayal of this Kenobi iteration that we're getting during this time frame. So if that is, then yeah, I'm all for it for sure.
All right. Well, that's great. And you guys let us know how you think about not just the music, but the whole thing in the chat. We'll come back again. And Rural Farm Boy hits us with a Casablanca reference saying, play it again, Sam. Play it again, Sam. I mean, if we had the time, I bet we would.
Oh, yeah. No, 100%.
I love me a good Casablanca reference. Good stuff, man. I got to go watch Casablanca. Thanks a lot.
And I got to go get Taco Bell.
That's true. Hey, you know what? More nostalgia. All right, here's the next and the final thing about the IGN video. Looking back on the Phantom Menace, as today is its anniversary, what is it like seeing younger Ewan rehearsing lightsaber fights mixed in with Ewan today, mixed in with shots of Sir Alec Guinness?
Pretty incredible. Now, seeing Ewan younger, that was what really got me in the nostalgia vibes.
Right.
That was remarkable. The way they mixed that in there. Fantastic stuff.
I'm the same way, man. And I think, again, this is one of those things we could talk about for a while. But for the sake of time, I'll go ahead and pass it back to Caleb, the pilot here tonight we need to come up with help Mando Talk figure out its spaceship name. Drop it.
For real.
Anything but the Silver Angel, all right?
Or the Enterprise.
Oh, gosh, if it's Star Trek, get out. All right, losers. Anyway, sorry, you're not losers.
All right, last news piece. Cal Kestis, we won't spend a lot of time on this, but Cal Kestis expected as the lead protagonist in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Source on this is Jeff Grubb, which, of course, is the source that revealed the title, so I'm just going to assume this is truth at this point. And why not? Why would it not be Cal Kestis? So, DJ, first of all, because you weren't here last week, what are your thoughts on the title of Survivor, and what are your thoughts on Cal Kestis being the lead protagonist again?
I can hear the TV show theme Survivor playing in the back of my head. No,
Fair.
Honestly, I think it's a perfect name. I really do. The order's gone, and he survived his attack from Darth Vader, which means we're going to get some more Inquisitor action and maybe a little more Vader action. So I'm all good with that. I think it's perfect. I think it's a good name. And if it's not Cal Kestis, I send it back. So I think it's a perfect way to go about it for sure.
Josiah says rude. Josiah, if we said something that was rude, I apologize.
Oh, rude, because Josiah is a member of a little Facebook group I run called Rebel Alliance Theological Seminary. And he is also a Star Trek fan. So
I see.
Yeah. So get over it. Go make a meme about it and come back.
I see now. I'm following. Yeah, all right. Well, I mean, there's the news. A lot of stuff, but we have even more stuff. Good stuff, good soup to get to. We have to discuss this essential canon list that we kind of took the time to create ourselves. And boy, oh boy, was it difficult trying to get through this entire list before this show. DJ, why don't you take it away? Must see canon for Kenobi.
All right.
What you got?
So here's the emphasis we're putting on in our rewatch of the must-see Kenobi canon. So we're really looking at Obi-Wan and Anakin's journey from Phantom Menace all the way through to A New Hope. Okay, that was my Caleb hit me up and goes, "How are we doing this?" I was like, "Well, this is how I'm looking at it." And he goes, "I'm going to do the same," and I hope he did because I just announced it. But also, I know you did, and that's me just kind of being a little coy. But what we're really doing even further than that, though, is we want to be as specific as we can be about these two characters when we are focusing on their journeys, not just as the team that is Anakin and Obi-Wan, but individually as well. So that's kind of where we're at. And we're going to go in a chronological timeline order of events, of things that have happened that stuck out to us from the list that we put out on Twitter and the one that you can also see now on YouTube. Okay. And I believe Twitter may be the only place we posted that. So I don't know if it made it to Instagram or Facebook. So if you have not followed Mando Talk on Twitter, now's your time to do so and go check out our essentials list there. Our must-see canon, or Kenobi canon, if you will. So we're going to start with Phantom Menace and we're going to work our way down this list. Okay. So I kept my thoughts to a minimum, and that's on purpose because there is so much. So a lot of this tonight is going to be me handing things back over to Caleb to hear his thoughts. Yeah, I know. You knew that. Don't let y'all be fooled by Caleb. He knows. All right. So feel free to just chat along with us as we're going, and we'll go from there. World Farm Boy also gave us a name for a ship.
What's he got?
He said the Mythosaur skull. It's not bad. I feel like we got to have something, like Millennium Falcon, Razor Crest.
Like when you hear it, it's got to just click,
Yeah. So until we get to that point, Mythosaur skull's good.
But keep firing them away,
Come on with them, yeah. So let's jump into the first piece of real canon we have in Star Wars, that being the Phantom Menace. First of all, happy anniversary again. But more than anything, I have one sentence about Phantom Menace. I'll go first and I'll hand it over to you, and then we can discuss and all that good stuff. But
absolutely,
I'm anxious to hear what Caleb has to say on this. So for me, I got to watch the whole film, sat down and watched Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones in one day. By the way, that's a fun time. Okay. I highly recommend that. But here's what I got from Phantom Menace. Kenobi views Anakin as, quote, a pathetic life form and seems to take on Anakin as his Padawan reluctantly. But also, to fulfill his promise to his master, on his literal, he's dying. So obviously it's a big deal. Spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen Phantom Menace. That's kind of my biggest takeaway, is that Kenobi kind of doesn't seem like he really wants to. And maybe by the time you get to Attack of the Clones, he's cool with it. But initially, he's thrust from being an apprentice into being a master almost immediately. So it's I just don't think he really wanted to.
Man, okay. Well, I have a little bit of a different I agree with you. Yeah. That yes, he was he didn't even want Anakin to come along with him. Like, he didn't want Anakin to be Qui-Gon's new Padawan.
No, of course
anything
not.
like that. But I got the vibes that at the very end, when he's having that discussion with Yoda, I felt like at the end of the Phantom Menace, the film ultimately displayed some growth in Obi-Wan, eventually desiring to place his full trust and hope into Anakin because of that promise that he made with Qui-Gon as he was dying in his arms.
Okay.
I think that was the motive behind Obi-Wan then being like, okay, this is my responsibility. This is what my father-like figure, whatever you want to call Qui-Gon, essentially master, told me to do. I'm going to honor that. If he believed and trusted in Anakin, I'm going to believe and trust in Anakin. And so therefore, I'm going to go have this conversation with Yoda, which takes a lot of hyping yourself up, I'm assuming, at that age. Obi-Wan's...
He's 25
right.
in Phantom Menace.
And Yoda's this established Jedi master. I would be a little intimidated going up to him and say, no, he's my Padawan. I'm going to honor what Qui-Gon said. So I think ultimately, as far as Obi-Wan Kenobi goes, Phantom Menace displays his growth in seeing what Qui-Gon saw in Anakin.
Wow. Well, that takes my point and really emphasizes it, I feel like, because it shows Kenobi's growth, like you said.
Yeah.
So I think, man, that's good stuff. And I think that's the point behind Phantom Menace, though, with Obi-Wan specifically.
Yeah.
And of course, with Anakin, it's kind of funny to think because neither one of them are the main characters in Phantom Menace. Qui-Gon is.
Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of neat to think about how he plays that role there, too, like you kind of alluded to. Well, I love that. Let us know what you think about what we've said so far in our Phantom Menace discussion here. Okay, so we're going to jump into Attack of the Clones now. Again, remember, a quick reminder, we are focusing on Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship, as they are going to be kind of the big focus in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. So here's my quick little take on Attack of the Clones. Okay, Kenobi, although as I did actually acknowledge the fact that he is more mature, believe it or not. But Kenobi, although more mature, seems to be unsure of himself and Anakin. Anakin's time on Tatooine, searching for his mother, killing the Tusken Raiders, and the remorse he shows because of it, all leads him in his first real steps towards the dark side. Now, you see Kenobi's growth in that, but there's also, Anakin calls him like his father, before they go into the bar in Coruscant. But to me, I never looked at them as father and son. I have taken, I say never, but in recent years, I've taken on the opinion that Obi-Wan was suddenly given a little brother, and he now has to raise his brother.
Yeah, I can see that.
And that's kind of why he allows certain things to happen.
Yeah.
Or I say let them happen, I should say, I guess, because he knows like Anakin's got a crush on Padme, but he just kind of is like, dreams pass in time, and kind of leaves it at that. And it's like, well, no, I mean, Anakin's didn't, and he should have addressed it, earlier on. So he does mature, but him not being the teacher that Anakin needs, because the teacher he needs is Qui-Gon, it leads to all sorts of other things. So it's not Obi-Wan's fault that Anakin turned to the dark side, but he could have prevented certain things.
Yeah.
So that's kind of me. That's what I'm looking at here in Attack of the Clones. Caleb, you add to that, or just straight up jump into what your thoughts are.
Yeah, no, I mean, I made note on the whole father comment from Anakin, the father-son relationship that Anakin views it as. And I think that you're right on there as far as it's more so like Obi-Wan, like you said, was given a little brother that he had to take care of. But in that sense, he did, at least for me, he did have to kind of be that fatherly-like figure. But after I kind of did this entire rewatch, I kind of viewed it as, okay, they initially start, Anakin views him as a father that's just always telling him, do this, don't do that, do this, yada, yada, yada. Right. After the events of the Clone Wars and they start gaining trust with each other, then it turns into a brother-brother kind of relationship. And that's why we get that line in Revenge of the Sith of, you were my brother, Anakin. And it's more so, and now we get a book called Brotherhood. That's it. They're more so brothers, but I think that's an indicator of where the relationship was at first when Anakin says, you're the only father that I've ever really known, really. But so I definitely wanted to touch on that. The other thing that I just kind of made note here is, of course, we get an indicator of how Anakin dealt with Shmi's death. But just a question that I threw in, and I know this is kind of veering a little bit, but how did the Lars family react to this? I would certainly be interested in seeing that somehow connect to the Kenobi series. I think that could be dived into, just as far as, like, what's their family dynamic like now? How did that impact them? I think
because of Shmi being gone.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think that's something that could be discovered a little bit more if they wanted to in the Kenobi series, especially with Owen being one of the main cast members in this thing.
Well, there is, from what I understand via something I just come across on Twitter the other day, apparently Owen removed Shmi's headstone after they took in Luke.
Really?
Yeah, to just really keep things, secret. Which,
did not know that.
If that is true, holy cow. But I do think that there is potential for Bonnie Peace and Joel Edgerton's characters, Owen and Beru, to have a little side conversation and be like, I wonder what his grandmother would think, that kind of thing. Because
they knew her.
Of course they did. Yeah. I mean, that was his stepmom, I mean, and Brew would have looked at her as a mother-in-law to a certain degree. So, well, he says girlfriend, they weren't married yet, but still, you would have looked at those kinds of things and said, okay, they know Shmi, but if that canon, if that, what I believe I've been told is a piece of canon, is a thing, then, it adds another element, another layer to that.
For sure.
Thinking.
Well, I mean, those were kind of the things on Attack of the Clones that were just
okay.
Maybe a little different from you, but other than that, yeah, I would say ultimately Attack of the Clones is about Anakin's love for Padme and how that eventually is going to be a piece to the puzzle as far as him turning to Vader.
I think that goes without saying.
Yeah.
When you just bring up Attack of the Clones, because I mean everybody knows that, and I didn't want to jump forward until you had anything else. Excuse me, I'm drinking a Sprite, so how. Have y'all seen that Sprite challenge thing on TikTok?
Insane.
It's ridiculous. I bet the kids at your school are doing it.
Probably, but I don't want to know.
Okay. Well, I was made a worthless decision and rewatched the Clone Wars movie. Just one thing on it before I jump into the actual next thing on the list.
Yeah.
In Clone Wars, you see really two things about Kenobi. Anakin, there's some stuff, but it's not really worth mentioning because it's all in Attack of the Clones. It's basically this. Kenobi is displayed to be a great negotiator and an expert swordsman. I just thought that was nice.
There you go.
And especially with his fight with a Ventress, that's kind of the two big things I took from Clone Wars movie. I know Caleb didn't rewatch it.
Nope.
Because I told him not to.
Nope. I didn't really even plan on it to be honest.
Well, I did, but I was starting to watch it. I was like, God, this was a stupid decision, but I got something out of it. So there you go. Okay.
There you go.
Now let's jump into Clone Wars season 2. Oh,
John Hare, ship name, Beskar Phoenix.
Oh,
that's promising. We're getting there. Keep those.
You know what though?
Ship
I know
names
why he
in.
said that.
Why is that?
I think I know because I just me and John have got a special connection here. Okay, we're like brothers in the Force ourselves.
There you go.
Beskar is the Mando Talk.
Okay.
Phoenix is the Rebel Scum Texan because the rebellion symbol is based on a phoenix rising from the ashes.
Yeah.
If I got that on right there, if you and I just had a moment, John, tell me, okay? Because I like that. I'm not gonna get it tattooed on me or anything, but I like it. Okay.
I like it a lot.
Beskar Phoenix. Here we are. I like it. Okay. Clone Wars season 2. We're gonna run down exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 episodes. Okay. So buckle up.
All right.
Yeah. We gotta move quick.
Yeah,
and I'll be quick on my side of things too. So episode 5, Kenobi. He puts his faith in those around him. Okay. Anakin does not, or he does care about Obi-Wan, but puts completing the mission before his feelings a lot. Kenobi really only ignites his lightsaber when he believes it's the end. In case you're not familiar with episodes 5 through 7, this is the second assault on Geonosis. So that's kind of my episode 5 thoughts there, though. But the cinematography that they used for Clone Wars in that episode is really good, just as a sidebar. So that's kind of my episode 5 thing there. Episode 6, Anakin's emotions are on display quite a lot when he believes Ahsoka to have died.
Absolutely.
And then in episode 7, Kenobi is pretty inquisitive, but he worries about Luminara, who's gone missing because she's been kidnapped by the Geonosian Queen. So there's that. Caleb, toss it back to you on those 3 episodes.
I legitimately think that you nailed everything that I said on that one. I mean, those were my big takeaways for the. I just labeled this as the Geonosis plot. I didn't know the technical term, but
I don't know the technical name. Yeah,
it was interesting that as far as like Anakin very much so struggled with allowing Ahsoka to kind of go on and do her own thing, and yes, he's very much so caught in emotions, and that is a thread that really goes throughout all of these essential Clone Wars episodes that we ended up needing to watch. So that's all I wanted to say about episode 5 through 7 regarding season 2 of the Clone Wars.
Well, let's jump into episodes 12 through 14. This is really some of the best Clone Wars storytelling because it gives insight into Duchess Satine of Mandalore and Kenobi's relationship from the days of his apprenticeship with Qui-Gon. Something I didn't think about before, but Duchess Satine has met Qui-Gon Jinn. So I think that's a neat little thing to think about. And there is an Obi-Wan Kenobi centered novel coming out either this year or next. It's rumored to tell that story. So looking forward to reading that one.
I would
one
love
day.
to read that.
And by the way, I'm currently reading Brotherhood, and it is pretty good.
Is
all
it?
right.
That's good.
Oh, it's fantastic. I would, if you can't read a whole lot, you don't have time to get the audio book, but I have the physical book because I pre-ordered it. I'm a nerd and I love it, but it makes my heart happy thus far. It's really good stuff. So anyway, let's get into this stuff with Satine. Okay. So for me, really what we get here is we just get a lot of insight into how Obi-Wan feels about Satine. And even though there's like this struggle, you know, where they're kind of like, it's kind of like East meets West, you know, as far as like mentality in a sense goes. And there's an interesting dichotomy in there, you know, and really there's just a whole lot, I think, that's just happening within this. And ultimately Satine just wants so badly to stay out of the war, but Kenobi can't really help but be a part of it because of what he's chosen to do with his life. Those are some of the biggest things to me from this arc, you know, with really protecting Duchess Satine. I have a lot of other details here, but like there's no way I could cover them all in the time we have. It's got a lot of good stuff within those episodes. Caleb, you know, what do you want to add to that?
No, I mean, my big takeaway was that I'd highly imagine, just because, like you mentioned, they were Satine and Obi-Wan, although they have tremendous love for each other, which something that I hope somehow connects to the Kenobi series in some form.
Too.
They clearly kind of butt heads a little bit as far as differing opinions and things like that. And I just have to imagine, as a guy that's in isolation, thinking about what he's doing in the Kenobi series, I'd have to imagine that Satine's non-violence way, and also all of the differing opinions that Anakin had regarding what the Republic was doing, I'd have to imagine that those two things are eating Kenobi alive.
Well,
because maybe if he had gotten on their level and maybe came to an agreement or understanding of what Satine and what Anakin were saying, all of this stuff could have been avoided. That was my big takeaway. I mean, yeah, there's so many other things. Anytime you go to Mandalore, there's so many other things. But my big takeaway, to kind of just sum it all up, is, man, all of this emotional stuff has got to be weighing on our boy Obi-Wan right now once we get to this series.
Yeah. I don't want to, I'm not going to give away stuff from Brotherhood big time, but you do learn where Obi-Wan gets the codename Ben from.
Really?
In Brotherhood. It was the nickname Satine gave him when they were hiding.
Wow.
In his apprenticeship days. So I
cool.
won't say how that's revealed in the book, because that is a pretty big moment. And I don't want to spoil that for anybody, but really neat to think that he goes by Ben Kenobi, which means he's thinking about Satine. You know, that means when Luke calls him Ben,
wow, man,
you know, he's got to be thinking of Satine. So
here we go.
There's that.
All right.
Anyway,
is it next Friday yet?
So last thing from season 2 of Clone Wars, episode number 22. At most
21, isn't it?
Oh, I can't remember which one it was.
I think it's 21. 21?
I may have gotten it down wrong. So why don't you go ahead and run yours down?
Episode 21, season 2. R2 Come Home.
Wrong.
It was the R2 Come Home episode.
I skipped that one.
Oh,
Oops.
no. Oh, well. Well, essentially, after I started watching this one for a minute, I was like, why is this on the list? But then it kind of just hit me like, I think it's important as far as understanding the Anakin character, because the first thing that I typed in as I was watching episode 21, R2 Come Home, was, why is Mace Windu such a jerk? And so I think that's probably why it was on the list, is because, again, another puzzle piece that led to Anakin's fall to Vader. So that was my big takeaway with episode 21. What did you get from episode 22? Because I didn't watch that one.
It just lets us look into the world of the bounty hunters. Okay. I mean, that's kind of it. And I thought maybe that might have something to do with, you know, Kenobi being on Tatooine.
Well, we've gotten quotes and teaser trailers that Reva's got every bounty hunter out there coming after him.
That's true.
So, I mean, maybe it's a good thing that you watched that one.
I will say that in Brotherhood 2, Mace Windu's a jerk to Anakin there too. So you're kind of like,
there you go.
And Brotherhood does a really good job of explaining why, but it's kind of like, dude, just stop. But whatever. Another discussion for another day. Maybe one day I'll do my own video of a review of Brotherhood.
Do it.
Channel.
I would love that.
Okay, well then I'll try to finish it as quickly as I can. I'm trying to get it done before Kenobi premieres.
Yeah, you might want to do a review after Kenobi though, because I mean we're just way busy, right?
I mean, we are, but like, if I get that book done, then I may do it. So we'll see.
Do it. We'll post it.
All right.
Whatever.
We've now officially made it to Clone Wars Season 3.
Yes, sir.
All right. So here we go. Episodes 15, 16, and 17, also known as the Mortis arc.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think anybody else outside of fans really calls it the Mortis arc. And you barely even hear the name Mortis in these three episodes of Clone Wars. But there's a lot going on here.
So much.
So much symbolism, so much, just happening. And it's so hard to break it down. I'm going to do my best to just be quick about it. Okay. So episode 15, here's what I got from it. Kenobi accepts Anakin as the chosen one. We see that very quickly, especially and that's while speaking to Qui-Gon's Force Ghost there. Okay. It looks like also in the Father's monastery, there are depictions of these little statues in the background that look like the World Between Worlds, which I thought was kind of neat, because that could have been something they did on purpose for Rebels. Anakin actually denies he is the chosen one, which I thought was interesting. It's kind of like this thing has been thrust upon him. He doesn't want anything to do with it.
He doesn't want it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then this episode actually coincides with Return of the Jedi because Anakin doesn't want to, accept that, but it eventually becomes true later on down the road, which I thought was awesome. And then Anakin doesn't stay. The Father wants Anakin to stay on Mortis to kind of like balance everything out. But because he decides to leave, it leads to Anakin's undoing. So that's episode 15. That's just one episode. Caleb, did you have something on just that episode?
Other than just Qui-Gon Jinn visiting Obi-Wan, I think after I saw that again, it just made me feel like, okay, this has to happen in the Kenobi show. Like, it has to. If it doesn't, what the heck are we doing?
I 100% agree with you. Okay, I'm going to start digging so deep here and just trying to find some surface level stuff to kind of go with. But I think with 16 now, I think this overall episode is a lesson in what the dark side can do to those around you, how it can manipulate those around you. And honestly, for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm understanding the Mortis arc as it's supposed to be told. I've always been confused by it.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, oh, that's why. And I'm like writing stuff in on my phone so I can talk about it. But I'm like, there's just so much here. And I don't want to just unleash it all right now because we just don't have time.
Yeah.
But it's such a really cool moment here in all of this episode. And of course, in the moments of Clone Wars, this one stands alone. But I will say this. I think that when the daughter dies, the death of the daughter, I think, was unintentional. It was, but it symbolizes Anakin's fall, showing that the light side is now dead in him.
Ooh, that is deep right there.
I'm giving you one little thing of like, oh my gosh, I'm over here like,
freaking
into some Jediology over here, and I'm just like, okay, well, I'm not going to get into all of it now.
I'm just going to leave it at that. That's good stuff right there.
Okay, well then you want to go to 17?
Let's go to 17.
Okay, on 17. So, Anakin realizes he can't defeat the son on his own. So he goes to the Father, and the Father actually commits self-sacrifice to bring the balance back.
Yep.
Because what happens is the daughter's dead, the father kills himself, and then the son gets killed by Anakin, symbolizing Anakin's story that he falls from the light and then defeats the dark later on, becoming literally his own kind of father and bringing balance back to the Force, which I think is just a picture perfect thing. And it symbolizes so much. It's just a great, story there. Caleb, you want to add anything on that?
I would just say that so far during this rewatch, this Mortis arc for me was by far the most enjoyable, most epic. Loved every single second of it. But ultimately, I feel like, first of all, the vision that Anakin experiences, phenomenal. Gosh, I love the emotions that are involved with that. But secondly, simply because the Father erases his mind and he no longer has any knowledge of it. Unfortunately, I don't think any of this Mortis arc is going to connect to Kenobi. I mean, we've got some like cool concepts, connections, like you just mentioned, deep like character study there, which that we can, now that we've seen it, we can fully understand that Anakin and Obi-Wan characters the way that we need to going into the show. But ultimately, I don't think any of this Mortis stuff is going to get connected to the show, because it will completely go over so many people's heads that haven't seen Mortis at all.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there very important. And yeah, you're right. It does give us that understanding that I think as viewers, we all kind of need for Kenobi.
Correct.
So,
yeah.
Good stuff there. I am going to now jump into season 4.
Yeah.
And I am going to steamroll this whole arc.
Do it.
This is season 4, episodes 12 through 18. Okay. There's a lot going on here, but the big things to me that stick out. Okay. We've got Anakin having to wrestle with his past as a slave, which I think foreshadows that he will one day be enslaved to being Darth Vader. And that's a whole nother character study in and of itself. And then the other, that's the big thing for me on this. Of course, you get some connections to Return of the Jedi here. And then also Obi-Wan uses his code name Ben when he's undercover. As a what was it? Whenever he took swallowed the thing and they did the thing to his face and he became Rako Hardeen or whatever his name
Rako
was.
Hardeen, yeah.
But before I jump too far ahead on looking at Kenobi, something that the Queen of Zygeria says in episode 13 really stuck out to me.
Okay. And
I may be reading kind of deep into it, but I want to read it now if that's okay.
Do it.
She said this: as plans of escape and hopes of rescue fade, the gnawing fear that he will never be able to take action will grow in Kenobi's heart. To ease the burden of his fellow slaves, defiance will become compliance. When Kenobi realizes he cannot help those around him, his spirit will break and he will be mine, is what she says. And then she goes on, if such Jedi as Kenobi and Skywalker can fall, how many others will follow? Now, I know she's talking about enslaving Jedi.
I see what you're doing. Yeah, I like it.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, Anakin enslaves himself to the dark side.
Yeah.
And Kenobi, where we're seeing him in Obi-Wan, the show, he's enslaving himself to isolation.
Yeah, he's in his own little prison for sure.
And he can't even, and its defiance becomes compliance. He can't defy the authority around him. So he has to comply, that the authority being the Empire. He can't take action. It's what the Jedi, it's like an itch that must be scratched, as the Inquisitor says in the trailer. I mean, come on. Like, look, I know I'm reading into one line, I highly doubt that was a line considered when they were making and writing Kenobi.
Sure.
But I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm losing it. See, General Grievous, come here. You know what I'm saying? You've known the guy, okay? He gets it, all right?
What's the situation?
That's exactly what he said it to me, right? He goes, what's the situation, DJ? I'll tell you what the situation is. The Zygeria Queen knew something. Okay. Anyway.
She was involved in the plot.
100%. Okay. So you get the Zygerian stuff, fun times, but then we get into the box. The Rako Hardeen breakdown.
Yeah.
Caleb, on all these episodes, I've said what I need to say on these. What would you like to add?
The only thing, first of all, yes, the Zygerian stuff for sure. It was cool to see, cool but important to see the emotions of Anakin triggered as far as his history with slavery. Secondly, as far as the Rako Hardeen arc, stupid. Yet again, another stupid decision by the Jedi Council to keep Anakin out of the loop. And yet again, here we are, the third puzzle piece to creating Darth Vader. All because you think he just can't handle it, which, whatever. I get it, but I don't at the same time.
I don't get it at all. I mean, it was a bad call.
Yes, it was. And
I mean,
and it was Obi-Wan's idea, correct?
It was. But you know what's dumb about that? Is that Anakin still doesn't blame Obi-Wan. He blames the council.
Yeah. Well, that just shows his love for his master. I mean,
but
to
also
a fault.
Love to a fault. Exactly. That's what's going on there. And it bugs the fire out of me because we've talked about this on the show before. I love Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
It's like, I think you even pointed out, you said when you're a kid, you want to be Anakin, but when you grow up, you want to be Obi-Wan.
100%.
And so it's like, and my kid side of me is like, stop, but the adult side of me, I guess, has kind of infiltrated the kid thought, but the adult side of me is like, Obi-Wan, you idiot, come on.
Yeah.
Anakin, come on, he'd have just left, it wouldn't have been a big deal. And anyway, that is Obi-Wan's fault, right there. That's a big deal. So
we have another ship name here.
Oh, we
from
do.
RFB. Sundari?
That's a reference to Bo-Katan and Mandalore. I'm trying to remember exactly how God, come on, RFB, help me out. I know you're still in the chat. So
isn't that like the dome or something?
The capital of Sundari. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the place where the big dome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it gets blown up in Book of Boba Fett. Well, it got blown up
of all places, man. Of all places, that still throws me for a loop, but I'll take it. Again,
casually drop
it's
that?
3 seasons of storytelling.
Thank you, Dave Filoni. All right,
that and was John Favreau.
By the way, I started rewatching the Chef Show on Netflix last night.
What?
You heard about the Chef Show?
This took a massive
No, I didn't. I promise.
No, I've never heard of this.
So John Favreau did a movie a few years ago called Chef.
Okay.
And then the chef who was helping him on the movie, he does a show with him for Netflix.
Okay.
And guests that had like Gwyneth Paltrow and Bill Burr on the first episode.
Nice.
So like I'm looking at Favreau talking to Bill Burr, and I'm like, they've been having Mandalorian conversations. You got to watch Chef Show. It's a great series on Netflix. And if you need a Favreau fix, like I do occasionally, watch Chef Show. Okay. Anyway, all right, that's season 4. Let's get to season 5, and then we're halfway there. Okay, so
I think season 4, episode 22 is Maul and Savage seeking Kenobi.
Oh,
that's still technically
what? I skipped that one.
Man, did you even reference the Mando Talk list?
I did constantly.
I'm just messing with you.
I slipped my mind. I got a baby in my arms while I'm watching these.
I'll just kind of read my takeaways with season 4, episode 22. It's when Maul and Savage seek Kenobi. Obi-Wan and Maul come face to face for the first time post the Phantom Menace, which was great. Ventress aids Kenobi, which shocking, but it made sense, and it's always something that I wish we could have seen more. I know there's books out there.
It's not shocking if you read Brotherhood.
Oh, man, I gotta read Brotherhood, I guess. But the big takeaway for me from this episode is any time Obi-Wan comes face to face with Maul, he goes dark side a little bit. He always experiences some form of rage anytime he comes saber to saber with Maul. Very interesting. Except in the very correct. Except when we get to Rebels, which is on the list, and I'm assuming, hopefully, DJ watched that one.
I watched the stuff I needed to watch in that one.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I had to scrub through that one real quick, but anyway, and I had to split my viewing. That was sad. Okay, so season 5, episodes 16 through 20. There's no any other way to put this. This is when Duchess Satine dies. And to me, the best subplot in Clone Wars is anything with the Mandalorians. That and honestly becomes the giant crescendo of season 7, so it's perfect. But you got in episode 16, Maul attacking Mandalore, taking it as his own is what leads to Obi-Wan coming to Satine's rescue. I mean, Satine's in trouble. Obi-Wan comes running. You got to love it because that's his girl.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a beautiful story there. Moving into episode 17, Maul believes that he will break Obi-Wan's spirit by killing Satine. Now, it's very obvious this does deeply hurt Obi-Wan, and it's very visible in this episode for a while, honestly. He doesn't get over it very quickly. But at the end of the day, he's a Jedi. And we see how opposite he is in comparison to Anakin when he comes to subduing his emotions. He lives by the Jedi code, as he has said many times. And he said it to Anakin, when they first went to protect Satine back in, what was it, season 2. So those are just 2 big things there from season 5, those couple episodes. Caleb, real quick, add on those.
2 things I'll say. Corky, he is not Obi-Wan Kenobi's illegitimate son. Get that crap out of there.
Thank you.
But it was cool to see him. I forgot about the dude, to be honest. Secondly, The Satine death, yes, that by far. And I even put this in my note, but I don't know if I still feel the same way after we've started having our conversations. I put in my notes, this is by far the most important thing we've seen in the rewatch so far from the Clone Wars. I don't know if I still feel that way, but it's definitely something, again, that I would hope he's emotionally weighing on in his isolation on Tatooine. So just wanted to throw that out there.
I think that would weigh on him 100%. Anything with Satine is going to weigh on him.
Yeah.
And I think that's something Ewan McGregor, he's got to be conscious of, or he had to have been when he went into this. I mean, it was not like it wasn't there. He could have very easily watched it. I hope he did. Yeah. Or at least someone told him, hey, by the way, you had a love interest. Oh, okay, great. It's kind of like when somebody told the guy that played General Hux that he had a cat, Did you not know that? There's like a random comic book that says that General Hux has a cat.
Nice.
And
I imagine he'd be a horrible pet owner.
Yeah, maybe he's like a huge jerk in person, but like he loves his animals.
Probably.
Because there are people out there that way.
He's like one of those that's like he's standing at his little door in his starship and he's like giving orders and then he opens it and he's like, come here, little kitty.
It's like, this order will stand. And then he's like, it's good stuff. Okay.
Oh gosh, only at Mando Talk, folks. Hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, hit the subscribe. There you go. Which we have gained some subs.
Yeah, have we? Yeah,
we're up to 172 now. I'm loving it.
There you go. Love it.
Like Mickey D's. All right. So let's get into the last few episodes of season 5 here. 18, 19, and 20. Here's the kind of overarching thing for me. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on these episodes specifically because they're not Kenobi centric.
Correct.
But they do interfere with Anakin quite a bit.
Correct. Another piece to the puzzle.
Absolutely. It's just one more thing that leads to Vader. Okay. I think of it as Anakin looks at Ahsoka as his little sister in ways. I really love that idea to think like when he doesn't have his sister by his side, it messes with him. I look at her as kind of like a compass for him on the battlefield. She's pointing true north in a way. And without her by his side, I think that's what really brings the fall faster. Like I have a little sister and it'd be weird if my sister was just like, I'm out, and I'd be like, well, what, and then I have 2 younger brothers. So we would all be kind of like, what are you doing?
Yeah. So
for me, I look at it a lot like that, but still it does mess with Anakin. And it is, again, like you said, another piece to the puzzle.
Agreed. The only thing I'll say to this, and I think I teased this to you before we went live.
Oh yeah.
This arc, it really gave me a reminder of why I love Ahsoka so much. Just because her decision at the end of this is the most Jedi thing that she could have done. Yes. As far as her leaving the Order. And man, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say at that point, suddenly the only character I cared about was Ahsoka. And I just wanted to keep on watching Ahsoka-centered episodes, and I knew I couldn't do that because we're getting ready for Kenobi. But man, I have to say, out of doing this rewatch, Ahsoka really stood out to me, and this arc drove that home.
Well, you just wait until next year, man.
Let's go.
That'll be a good time to rewatch all that Ahsoka stuff. I'm gonna get in a room with a big old bucket of popcorn and my brother Gavin, who, for lack of a better term, worships Ahsoka. Yeah. So I can't wait for those days. That'll be a good time.
Absolutely.
You're right. I kind of felt that way too, though. Like I really wanted to keep watching Ahsoka. And speaking of Ahsoka, we've made it to season 7 of Clone Wars, everybody.
There we
go. Thank you, by the way, for those of you who still stuck with us and you're still listening. I mean,
this is a long episode.
It wasn't supposed to be that way.
Hey, but
I was like, I'm going to be short.
We got to do our due diligence, though. Okay.
I think
apparently this is a limited series, so we're only getting it once, right?
That's true.
So we got to dive in. We got to.
All right, well, let's continue the dive and continue the plunge here into season 7. Okay, episodes 9 and 10 specifically. I, as an added bonus, tossed in episode 12, the final episode of Clone Wars. Just a small thing there, but we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, season 9. What's great about these couple last episodes is we see Anakin for the last time. Okay. In episode 9, and how quickly the events of the Clone Wars intersect with Revenge of the Sith, which you kind of see that happen in both 9 and 10. But because of his attachment to Ahsoka, I really see this as Anakin. He feels a deep need to help her, but here's what's getting in the way. It's fate and destiny. That's what's getting in the way there. The Force essentially is getting in the way, and that's leading him toward the rescue of the Chancellor and the death of Count Dooku. Mm-hmm. So you get these nice notes here. With that on episode 9, Caleb, I see you itching, not literally. You're like, let's go. I looked up and said itching as you scratch your shoulder. My bad. But no, for real, I feel like you
call me out.
No, I just feel like, hey, I'm itchy too. Okay. But I'm itching for some more Kenobi. But no, what are you thinking on this episode 9 here?
Episode 9, it was just so seamlessly connects to Revenge of the Sith and everything going on with that movie. Yeah. Other than me just simply saying that it's, again, I've said it, this is the theme of this rewatch. Yet again, another piece of the puzzle that Anakin has to commit to his political responsibilities to go and save the Chancellor rather than go with, I would hope he would rather go with Ahsoka. That was an interesting little debate I had internally, like which one, if he had to choose, which would he go to? Would he go to save Palpatine? Would he go to save Ahsoka? I would say Ahsoka, but that's just, the good in me, I guess. But obviously he has a deep connection with Palpatine. But anyway, episode 9, great segue, perfect connection to Revenge of the Sith. That's the only thing I wanted to say. For sure.
Awesome. Yeah. And you're right about Palpatine. We could talk about that for a while too.
Yeah.
But here we go into episode 10. This is the last time we see Obi-Wan in this series. Mm-hmm. Okay. And he's telling Ahsoka what transpired on Grievous's battleship. These things kind of weigh on Ahsoka, even though we don't really see Anakin or Obi-Wan after these episodes. I really feel like the tension is there, and you can feel that through the events of her fighting Maul, and then also with Order 66. I think that goes without saying. And I call it the tension in the Force. Yeah, is what I look at it, from there. And that to me is what stands out so much about the 10th episode here. So Caleb, what about you here in episode 10?
One thing that I'll mention about episode 10, the Maul crime syndicate conversation. I just put down that could give a clue regarding the underworld of the galaxy during the Kenobi series. I'll just leave it at that. I think that's just something to consider, that those syndicates, Crimson Dawn, things like that, it's out there. I'm not saying, I'm not going on my little rant like I did with the Book of Boba Fett that I needed Crimson Dawn to show up. Not saying that at all. I'm just saying that me seeing those characters reminded me, don't forget, this could play a part, which again, because Reva in a trailer says, I'm going to bring every single bounty hunter to get him, basically. There you go. Maybe there's some form of connection, name plug to one of these syndicates out there.
I would love that. And they can't really bring in Maul, because he doesn't know Obi-Wan's alive.
Yeah.
So it could be somebody else, I guess, but I don't know if I want that to happen. The syndicate side of things.
Right.
Bounty hunters all day, but I got where you're coming from. I
still think it's important just to understand the timeline that we're in, for sure.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's one last note here in season 7, episode 12. I know that's not on the essential list. I just want to point out the fact that we do get to see Vader. And
correct, yeah.
And he, of course, goes to the crash site, and I think that lets us, see what's to come in Rebels and also A New Hope. Okay, yeah. So I just wanted to throw that in there because it's just nice to think, okay, what else is Anakin thinking about? Or Vader, I guess, at this point. So, okay, let's get into Revenge of the Sith. This is one of those movies that I think Caleb and I have seen enough times
where we didn't have to watch it.
That we just didn't even need to watch it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, for me, when I think about Revenge of the Sith, I think about one major aspect, really, what it comes down to. It's Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship. What they've gone through, what they've done together, how they met, because that's what this whole episode of Mando talks about. Yeah. Is getting from the beginning of their relationship to where it ends, really in A New Hope, but specifically in Revenge of the Sith. Man, they got into a lot of shenanigans together. I mean, they went through a lot of hard times during the Clone Wars, not to mention the 10 years that we haven't seen on screen between Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. By the time you get to Revenge of the Sith, I mean, it's a heartbreak.
Yes.
I mean, Deborah Chow said in one of those interviews that she views it as an element of a love story where these two people have gone through a major breakup, and then they're coming back to hash things out like in court or something, so I'm looking at it kind of like that too. And that's what Revenge of the Sith looks like to me. Not to mention, there's the brothers, one's betrayed the other. And I honestly would say Obi-Wan betrayed Anakin to a certain degree. So there's a lot happening in Revenge of the Sith. Caleb, I'm just give you the floor on Revenge of the Sith.
I mean, it's just very clear, and props to Hayden and Ewan. The beginning of this movie, man, their connections, you can just tell that they've been through some stuff, and there's some genuine love that they portray to each other. I don't know if that was on I'm sure that was on purpose, but it just seemed to just shine in this movie compared to Attack of the Clones when they were working together beforehand. But of course, Revenge of the Sith at the end of the day is the most heartbreaking story in all of Star Wars. Yeah. And that scene there at the end, you were my brother, Anakin, loved you, I hate you, all of that. All of those emotions, that one moment is what sticks out to me that I think will directly carry over into Kenobi, because I would imagine that those are going to be the emotions that are freshly, it's like a cut.
Yeah.
You pour hydrogen peroxide or salt. Yeah. Salt in the wound, as soon as they discover that both of them are out there, I think that their emotions are going to go right back to that moment where Kenobi has deep love for the guy. Anakin has love for Kenobi, but his hatred has taken over. I can't wait to see those emotions unfold again in this series.
I'm just a little bit at a loss for words, because even when I think about these two characters, that everything you say comes to mind. You think about the I love you, I hate you, or I loved you. Yeah. He's like, I don't love you anymore.
Right.
That's what he says. It just, man, to think of like one of my closest friends, if that had happened to me and one of my closest friends, obviously I'm not thinking one of us is on the banks of a lava river, but to have that moment where like, we're not friends anymore, And unfortunately in my life, there's been a couple times where that's happened and it's not fun, but that's why I think a big weight to it is because you kind of personify it at a certain point. Yeah. And man, it just shows you where we're going in Kenobi. Okay. Now if we're good with Revenge of the Sith, let's move into Rebels.
Let's get into Rebels.
Okay. A little more lighthearted here. Rebels,
for sure.
Rebels season 1, episodes 1 and 2. It's real quick. Yeah. It's just Obi-Wan's coded transmission. Okay. We see it. Ezra's listened to it a few times, comes back up in Twin Sons. I really love this because what it shows us about Obi-Wan, I think, is that even though he knows things are bad when he sends out the message, he still has hopes for a brighter future. Now, that may have weighed on him in the 10 years that followed, up to where we see him in Kenobi. But I think it's an important note to touch on. Caleb, what do you think?
Yes, 100% agree with you. Only thing I'll add regarding episode 1 and 2 of Rebels is obviously this is post Kenobi's show. Yeah. Vader has displayed a tendency in the past to kill people that do not do a good job. The Grand Inquisitor is still alive. Obviously, he does something in the Kenobi series that pleases Vader. Obviously, he's not going to kill Kenobi, but I expect to see great things from the Grand Inquisitor simply because that dude is still living.
Yeah. I mean, I started rewatching Rebels before we decided to do this because I wanted to get the connections to Kenobi, but it actually worked out. Side note, my daughter, who's only about 4 months old, was watching this with me. I had her laying on her little play mat while these episodes were on.
Nice.
The Wookiees showed up and they're going and all that. And she goes, oh, and I was like, yeah,
that is awesome.
Talk Wookiee.
That's awesome.
I was very excited about that. Okay, Rebels season 2, episode 18. Anakin is seen on a hologram through a holocron, which is great. Ezra says that he watches him and kind of learns from it, all that good stuff. Ahsoka kind of talks about this relationship that they built during the war, and then of course, if you kind of go through the rest of the episode, Ahsoka is forced to kind of face her demons as she kind of blames herself for Anakin dying, which again, that's more Ahsoka centric than Anakin centric. But it's there. And I think it's an important thing to remember that Anakin turning to the dark side really did a lot, not just on the surface, but deep down.
Yeah.
And I think it's a big thing to remember. Caleb, what about you on this one?
Only other thing that you did not mention is just to, again, I guess I'm the Inquisitor guy here. Just to keep in mind that the Inquisitor, it's revealed in this episode that the Inquisitor was a knight of the Jedi Order. So he's got a past with the Jedi. So just something to keep in mind as we watch the Grand Inquisitor's events unfold in this Kenobi show.
Well, all Inquisitors
correct,
used to be Jedi.
correct.
Yeah,
but just
so
throwing that out there, just to remind.
But he was a temple guard, which is a very specific. It's a very specific duty in the Jedi Order. I would encourage anybody to jump on Wikipedia and do some research there.
Yeah. Oh, another thing that I put down too is that Yoda, when he's talking with Ezra, he admits that the Jedi were wrong to get involved in the Clone Wars fight. He said, "I was consumed by fear." I'm assuming that's a belief that Kenobi's got at this point as well. Consumed by fear, the Jedi allowed fear to guide all of their decisions, and that's why they're in this mess.
Well, they do say that fear does lead to, suffering, which leads to the dark side. And even if you don't on your own fall to the dark side, if you allow fear to, take control in even small areas, like a decision to join a war, which isn't a small thing, but you know what I mean? It can very easily lead to the dark side. Good call on that. I wouldn't have picked up on that at all.
Something else too, just connecting back. This is another moment where I was like, man, I wish I could watch the next 2 episodes. As soon as they mentioned they were going to Malachor, gosh, I wanted to focus on Ahsoka so hard, but I had to keep going.
I about did. I texted you and got the end of season 2 mixed up with the end of season 3, and I was like, dude, this is great. It's like, no, you're like, that's the wrong one. I was like, you're right. So I just jump to season 3. Okay. In this season 3, episode 20 of Rebels, honestly, there's just not enough good things to say about it. This is, of course, twin sons. Okay. Backdrop here. Maul starts using the holocron to kind of lure Ezra to Tatooine. Watch the few episodes before that with Maul. You'll understand what's going on. Ezra leaves. He goes to Tatooine. He finds Obi-Wan. And of course, he has to have the showdown, the rematch, if you will, with Darth Maul. This Obi-Wan is drastically different than the Obi-Wan we saw in Clone Wars and at the end of Revenge of the Sith, and definitely going to be drastically different from the one we're about to see next week. Okay. That's a sentence right there. But I think that this is what's really interesting about this to me the most, is that Obi-Wan is able to bring a very important chapter of his life to a close. That being the Maul, I'll call it a trilogy, the timeline of his time with Maul, I guess. Yeah. It comes to a close, but within this story, we can see how he believes Anakin to not be the chosen one. I think the betrayal shifted his perspective, which we see a lot in life. Someone betrays you. You think someone does you wrong. You're like, well, forget that person. I'm done with them. I think that's kind of how Obi-Wan's looking at it to a certain point. So when you look at the overall story of Star Wars, we know that his perspective of Luke being the chosen one isn't true. Because George Lucas said, no, Anakin's the chosen one. This moment I have displayed down here, you may not be able to see it, but it's concept art of Luke versus Vader in the throne room on the Death Star 2, So all of that's coming to a head. You see Vader turn back to the light and become Anakin again in the last moments of his life. So he is the chosen one, but the only person who ever had faith in him was Luke, And I think that's an important thing to remember, because all of that ties into this fight with Maul, because Maul's the one that brings that out. Yeah. And as he's dying, he goes, is it the chosen one? Yeah. And he's like, he is, and of course he's not, but it's just what Obi-Wan believed at that point in his life. Yeah. He was wrong. Absolutely. So to me, that's a big thing about this. I can't believe that Darth Maul actually connects to Luke Skywalker somehow, legitimately, but he does. And I guess that's all I have to say about this particular episode. Caleb, what do you have? Okay, so this is one where I'll just kind of run through the things that I jotted down. So again, I know a lot of you out there probably know this. At this point in the timeline, just remember that Kenobi, I don't believe, is leaving Tatooine again at this point. Obviously, this is after the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, but when we see him in this episode of Rebels, I think he's there to stay. You agree with that? You really think that he's going to stay on Tatooine the whole time?
Well, until A New Hope, obviously.
Oh, when this series is over.
No.
What did I miss something?
Rewind.
Yeah,
okay.
I missed something.
So at this state in this episode, this is post the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Okay.
I'm saying at this point, I believe Kenobi's done with any extra missions. I think he's there on Tatooine to stay until A New Hope occurs.
I could see that.
Okay.
I could definitely see that being a possibility. I'm not totally convinced that Bail Organa didn't reach out to him prior to the droids coming down to Tatooine in A New Hope. So part of me wants to believe that Obi-Wan was preparing to leave Tatooine one more time.
Interesting.
But there's no evidence of that. It's just an assumption. Yeah.
Okay.
But I could totally see where you're at in that. Yeah, I totally get that.
All right. Second thing that I have here, Rex mentions that Senator Bail Organa confirmed Kenobi's death when talking with Ezra. I 1000% believe this connects to the show. I think at the very end of the season, I think Bail and Obi-Wan are going to have a conversation where they make an agreement, an arrangement where Bail spreads across the galaxy that Kenobi did, in fact, perish from Order 66 or some other time. Just from that one little dialogue from Rex.
I get so excited when you pull out these little details because I miss them. And I'm having a little bit of a moment over here. I had to stop and just kind of lean over. I mean,
sure.
Those of you who aren't watching, I legit just keeled over into a fetal position and cried for a second. I didn't cry, but I was like, oh my gosh. Like, dude, okay. So I'm going to stop freaking out and explain myself now.
Okay.
Rex says that Bail Organa confirms Kenobi's death.
Correct.
Now, you would think, probably at Order 66. However, what if Bail Organa is tied into Kenobi in a major way, and he happens to be with Kenobi, but the Empire doesn't know that they're friends, okay? Doesn't know that he's been secretly kind of helping him out, maybe. And then through this, maybe Bail Organa's off in the distance, and he sees Vader defeat Kenobi. And he's like, I saw it with my own eyes, but then later he's like, to make Rogue One make sense, he's like, hey buddy, I'm not dead. Okay. It's just one of those things. Right. So dude, that would be sick. Now it's probably not going to happen, but that'd be sick.
Well, I still believe that we're getting some form of canon explanation behind that I think there's something there because like you pointed out there perfectly, Bail Organa is well aware that Kenobi's alive by the time Rogue One occurs. So I feel like they're going to come to, I think it's just going to be like a face-to-face conversation. Like, look, tell people that I died because of this or whatever, and call me when you need me. And of course, that's going to be the New Hope connection. Which,
absolutely.
I mean, I'm ready to go ahead and go to that New Hope if you're ready for it.
I am too. Here's the truth. Again, I said this about Revenge of the Sith. I didn't watch A New Hope because I know it. But I did rewatch two scenes. I rewatched the scene where Obi-Wan runs down what the Force is and who Anakin is with Luke in the hut. Okay, they're there on Tatooine. He gives them the lightsaber. I watched all that. Okay,
yeah,
that's essential Obi-Wan Kenobi. Okay, it's essential Alec Guinness Kenobi.
Yes,
you can't. That's essential Star Wars. Honestly, everything you know about the Jedi comes from that sentence because it was what we saw first on screen. Okay, now having said that, it is 100%. It shows so much about what Obi-Wan believes about Vader. And I think there's notes of what they're going to pull from in this TV series, this limited series. They're going to pull from that scene directly. And a lot of people keep talking about Obi-Wan and Vader's fight on the Death Star. Look, I don't think there's enough to pull from that to say, hey, let's put this in Kenobi. There's stuff there, but there's more in this scene with Obi-Wan and Luke, I feel like. Secondly, the fight in the Death Star, people always kind of harp on it for it being a lackluster sword fight. And they blame that on, well, they didn't know, the Jedi were, such awesome, swordsmen and all that stuff. No, I really, after watching all of this material and just kind of putting myself in the mindset of the two characters I'm watching, like I fast forwarded through the Han, Luke, Leia stuff to get to the second half of this fight. And then as soon as it was over, I was like, I don't even want to watch this movie anymore because I've been focused on Kenobi so hard. and that's wild to think about because it is A New Hope. But watching Obi-Wan in this fight scene, I really feel like there's a lot of tension and emotion there when you really get down to the two characters. That's all I'll say about A New Hope with Kenobi. Caleb, please add to that because that's not a lot, you know.
The only thing that, first of all, everything you said about the conversation between Ben and Luke in his homestead, fantastic. Yeah. I definitely do think that there's going to be some things pulled from that. But I think what you just kind of mentioned there regarding the emotion in that fight, I think they're well aware of that. And I think it's going to become a very seemingly connection to where when they're fighting in A New Hope and you see their face, well, obviously when I say there, I mean Obi-Wan's facial expression because you can't see Vader's. But, I mean, you can see his expression through the suit. I mean, we talk about Din Djarin doing that with the Mandalorian all the time. But anyway, I think that when we see A New Hope and we see them fighting, we are going to see that fight so differently after the events of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Because I think when we see emotions on Obi-Wan's face, we'll probably think back to their little showdown that we're eventually going to have here in this show, in this series that we're getting next week. Right. So I do think A New Hope is going to be impacted just like it was impacted by Rogue One. I mean, my view on that first scene of A New Hope was forever changed because Vader just is fresh off of the adrenaline of wiping out tons of rebels when he finally catches up. Yeah. I mean, A New Hope, it's going to get impacted. I know there's a lot of concern regarding the quote of, this is a presence I haven't felt since whatever from Vader regarding their last fight, which we for so long believed it was just on Mustafar. I think they're still going to easily be able to work around that. I get the worry with that, but I'm not worried about it at all. Based on the quotes that we've heard from Deborah Chow talking about how much they took into respect what George Lucas had done before. So I say all of that to say I think A New Hope is going to perfectly connect to this thing, and I cannot wait for next Friday. This massive discussion that we've had, because again, I talked about this at the beginning of the episode. This is something that we probably should have done over like the past 3-4 weeks to get us ready, like we did with Boba festivities, but life caught up. There's so much Kenobi, Anakin stuff out there, like you've alluded to. I mean, you've plugged Brotherhood 3 or 4 times.
Yeah,
like there's books, there's comics, there's so much that I think every single creative at Lucasfilm has looked at and dived into. Obviously not every single one of them, but they've all kind of played their part to maybe just throw ideas up on a board and say, hey, this is in Brotherhood, hey, this is in Master and Apprentice or whatever. I think that they have done their due diligence. Hopefully here we did our due diligence regarding the visual media regarding Obi-Wan and Anakin, and I can't wait. Hopefully we did a good job, but I mean, we definitely put in the overtime work here this week.
Yeah.
It was long to prepare for, and it resulted in a long episode, but hopefully you enjoyed it, those of you listening. I enjoyed it because I was very much so looking forward to hearing your thoughts, DJ, regarding these episodes. It sounded like there's a lot of similarities, some extra things that you picked up on, especially that Mortis thing as far as the connections and everything. Maybe some extra things that I picked up on, but great conversation. DJ, thank you so much for being here again, man, and I can't wait until Tuesday. Predictions, baby. Let's go.
I don't know if I'm even ready to do predictions.
I know, man. I know.
I'll tell you this. I've been generating a list of potential cameos for Kenobi.
Here we go.
But we did this with Book of Boba Fett, and it ended up being so wrong.
So wrong.
But I've learned my lesson. And I've got my outlandish cameos, and I've got my more, potential cameos.
Maybe we should do it in those categories: potentials, outlandish.
I like it. What if our Mando Talk ship is just called Outlandish?
I like
That's
it.
not bad. Or the Outlander.
Isn't that a thing?
I don't know. I know that in Phantom Menace, Watto at one point. It's in the subtitles, honestly. I know that, but he does refer to Qui-Gon and Padme and Jar Jar as Outlanders. So, but I only know that because I mean, again, I've seen that movie 1,000 times and I've read those subtitles 1,000 times. So,
yeah,
to the point now that like I'm like, oh yeah, when it's on, I can like mimic Watto's voice a little bit. So
there you go.
Yeah,
I'm
I can
at
do
the
a
point.
Watto. Let me do a Watto impression. I can do a Watto.
Do it.
Impression.
Let's hear it.
Ready? He goes. Hey, what? At one point, Qui-Gon, he goes, I have 1,000 Republic credits, and he goes, hey, what? Republic credits are no good out here. I need something more real. Like
Dude, that was great.
I've been working on it for 23 years, Caleb.
Fair enough.
But I love Watto. He's a good character. I wouldn't mind seeing Watto and Kenobi, but that's a more outlandish.
He's out there, isn't he?
I mean, unless Darth Vader came back and said, screw you, and he just
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised.
I would be okay with that. I think that would be really fun to see.
What if we just see when the Inquisitors are rolling through the streets of Tatooine, we see Watto flying around, and then just all of a sudden we see a red lightsaber, boom,
and it's like, yeah! Like Watto's dead.
Look, if you want some more outlandish predictions like that, make sure you're here on our YouTube channel Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central. Oh, I think it is exclusively live on YouTube, so make sure that you are there. So that way we can just have fun together. We're gonna say outlandish things. We're gonna say crazy things, but it's exciting. I can't wait for it. We're officially there. At Kenobi. DJ's got the strobe green lights going on, man. It's a party. It's a party. But yeah, Tuesday, Kenobi predictions. Thursday, though, we're doing Star Wars Celebration Day 1 recap.
Yes.
Where it's, after that live action panel that's kicking off Celebration. And then we got to do a special episode Friday evening because that's when we're going to do our Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 1 and 2
You're going to get
discussion.
A lot of Mando talk next week.
Yeah.
Let's just leave it at that.
You got a lot of Mando talk this week. What are you saying? I mean, I'm trying to think about how we can stretch this out 9 more minutes to officially hit 2 hours for the first time ever.
Have you before I was on, you never did a 2-hour stream?
I don't know. I don't know if I have.
You know what? That time we almost did a stream with Zach Horvath when we ran down Disney Gallery season 2, episode 2 of Mando. That would have been 2 hours.
It probably would have. I think when Zach came on, and this was prior to you, DJ, when Zach came on and we did a Rise of Skywalker spoiler discussion, we had to break it into 2 parts because I think it did hit 2 hours or more. But
at both times?
No. We sat down and spoiler discussed it, but we broke it into 2 different episodes.
Yeah, I see.
1 hour and 1 hour.
And now there's another novel out there that just Shadow of the Sith, I think it's called, just released, and there's new information on Rey's parentage.
Yeah.
So go check that out. I know Star Wars Newsnet ran a thing on it, but a little last minute news piece.
Yeah, there you go.
But I was impressed by that. I thought that was neat. I'm gonna read. That's the next novel I'm gonna read. I think is that one.
There you go. I'm still trying to get into the High Republic, but we'll see.
I've given up on the High Republic.
Yeah, I think I was just going to say, a segue, I think I've given up on trying to get to 2 hours. I think we need to get out of here.
We probably do. Behind the scenes, I don't do the show at my home. I do it where I work at my church. And I texted my wife and I was like, hey, we're still going, but I'm almost done.
Yeah. And my stomach's been growling ever since you mentioned Taco Bell an hour and a half ago. So
you gotta eat beforehand. That's a rookie move.
No, dude. Man, I don't eat beforehand.
I do.
Yeah, we need to wrap this up. All right, guys. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody.
Watch Watto die.
Thank you so much for checking us out another week, especially on this extended version. Can't wait to see you Tuesday for our predictions. I'll leave it at that, but make sure you follow us on socials at Mando Talk, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Can't wait to discuss with you there, and also check out our Discord. Link is in the description. We do a lot more as far as Discord goes once there's a show rolling, so make sure you're in there so we can have some just one-on-one spoiler talk. Can't wait to do that. But anyway, let's get out of here. I hope you have a blessed remainder of your week. Have a great weekend. This is the last weekend that you will ever live that does not have an Obi-Wan Kenobi show episode to watch in. So enjoy it while you can. Get some rest. And until next time, as always, we have spoken.